James, congratulations.
Thank you.
Was this your first ever chess commentating assignment, or how was it?
It was, and can you believe it? That somehow I found myself here, of all places, for my very first chess endeavor. I've been describing it to people as, it's a dream, without a doubt. It feels like the idea that, or the vision rather, that Jan had for freestyle chess and the way that he wants to present it to the world feels like a chess broadcast that in some ways was being made for a player like me, an enjoyer of chess like me, who does not have tremendous knowledge. So the moment I heard about it, of course I had to jump on the opportunity, and I've been so grateful that I did.
You know, I've been talking to your co-commentators, Tanya, David, and they've all had some wonderful things to say about you. Especially Tanya, she was mentioning how you were hosting the show, just making sure to take from one segment to another, having this immense passion for chess. And I have a lot of questions around it for you. Like, first of all, you are a League of Legends presenter.
Yeah.
And everyone mentions that you are quite a legendary presenter there. Could you tell us a bit about how that happened and how did you become so popular in League of Legends?
Well, funnily enough, it kind of happened the same way in League of Legends that it happened here in terms of my involvement. I'll try and make a very long story short, and then maybe one day I'll give you the longer version. I went to school to be an actor, so I've always wanted to be an entertainer. And soon after I graduated university, I met a woman in a bar. And she is the reason that I ended up working for Riot. Through a number of conversations, she seemed to identify that, I had something they needed. What that was, she wasn't even sure, but she said, I think you should work here. I was a massive enjoyer of the game. I had followed the esports scene in its initial years as it was gaining popularity. And so I said to her, okay, I'll have the conversation. I don't know what I'll do there, but let me start talking to them. Had a number of conversations with their esports team where they said, we have this need for somebody not necessarily to be the foremost expert and not necessarily somebody to call the shots over the game, do the play-by-play. We need somebody who can host the show, who can drive the conversation, who can get the production from point A to point B. I'll use an Americanized analogy, but very much like inside the NBA. Ernie Johnson would be the name that I kind of modeled myself after. So I said, if you're willing to give me a shot, I'll do my best to deliver that to you. They took a chance on a 22-year-old kid, and 10 years later, I was awarded in 2022 Esports Host of the Year. And so that was quite a journey for me. I'm very grateful to Riot for taking that chance on a young kid and putting him on a massive stage and massive platform. But that was the beginning of my career, and those 10 years bring me essentially to here. So from League of Legends straight into chess, and it happened in a very similar way, where out of the blue this opportunity arose, but like I said, I couldn't not explore it because it was so exciting.
Wow, that is impressive. But what skill of yours made you so loved in esports?
I think. Well, hopefully authenticity, but I don't know if that's a skill. That's just, something that I think people connect, through.
So you were able to bring your real self also in front of the camera.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that people read into passion. It's the same reason why anybody loves, their favorite chess player or their favorite chess commentator, right? It's not, sure, it might be because they have great knowledge. Yes, that might be an element of it. But more so than anything, it's because the person makes you feel something, right? The person makes you feel a connection through this shared love, right? We both love chess, and we're both celebrating chess. For me, I have this deep love of League of Legends, and I loved sharing that passion with people. End of the day, I really like making people smile. Again, as an entertainer, I would say the actual skill that I had that probably catapulted me or made people recognize me more than anything was actually all the technical stuff. Because I came from the acting world, I had a comfortability on camera. Maybe not on my first couple days, I was very nervous, but once I found my footing, nothing could really throw me. And I was very good at the technical stuff. If something went wrong on the broadcast, you probably wouldn't know it because I found a way to cover for it. And so I think that's where I can lend a lot, especially to a broadcast like this, while I'm not at the level of chess that I was at League of Legends, and maybe I'll get better over time. What I can do here is help them craft, over time, event to event, a very clean, crisp, professional broadcast without the kinds of things that will get in the way of fans loving a moment and connecting with their favorite player or connecting with their favorite caster, right? That's what we want to eliminate. We want to eliminate obstacles between the viewer and the narrative, between the viewer and the player that we're celebrating.
Incredible. And one of the things which I find really, really fascinating is you are at the top of League of Legends. You know everything about it and you've been there. And suddenly you come into a domain where everything is fresh, you have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
That's always a bit, fear-inducing, especially for someone who's achieved so much, that you might make a fool of yourself and so on. So what gave you this strength to do this?
I love that question because I was telling some of the people in my community in the weeks leading up to this event, once I knew for sure I was coming and I could reveal it to them, I told them, guys, I haven't been this nervous. I haven't been this anxious in a long time. And I've been in some very big arenas. I've been on stages in front of 70,000 people where the spotlight is on me and I need to deliver. But I was more nervous for this, and a lot of that, what that means to me is that I care. That's, I think, the thing that I read out of nervousness and anxiety. While yes, it can be something that stops you, I think when you realize that the reason you're nervous is because you care to deliver, that's the way to get over it, right? That's the way to push through that little bit of anxiety and nervousness. And it doesn't mean I won't screw up. I screwed up plenty on this broadcast, and I'm sure that there will be plenty of feedback for me waiting when I get home, and I welcome that feedback as I try to get better at delivering the stories of this chess world, and also just representing the chess community in the way that I feel it should. But yeah, for me, anxiety is almost in some ways the best thing. It's how I know I'm moving towards something that I love.
Would you kind of do more of chess in the days to come?
I hope so. Oh, I mean, I will get home. If I wasn't going to be sleeping on the whole plane flight home, I'd probably be playing chess. But of course, I'll try to sleep. I'm very excited to see how my chess develops in the next 7 weeks before Paris and I come back. I also have some homework. I've been bothering people, and maybe this is a question I'll ask you, but I've been bothering people for recommendations of books to read about history and, again, narrative of the game, because that's somewhere where I'm very deficient, and I know that. I don't know even these 10 players here. There are parts of their stories I don't know, and the more I can learn about them, the better I can be at telling them, but also the history of the game. Where did we come from? So I've got a lot of homework to do between now and the next event, but I'm excited to see how good my chess gets. Of course, they do tell me don't get too good, because your whole role is not to be too good, but I don't think that will be a concern.
I was streaming with a friend called Samay. He is a stand-up comedian, and at start he was very weak, and I used to explain him everything. After 5 years or 4 years, he got so good that he no longer had any questions for me.
That's exactly the problem. So you keep me in check, my friend, okay? Event to event. But maybe I'll ask you, turn it on the interview for a moment. Do you have a recommendation of a book, either about the game itself and how to get better, or about a specific player? Or
I think
history?
In general there are very good videos as well.
Okay.
So I can share some specific videos with you about players. Please where do. You can get to know more about them. And books. There's one guy who's here, Peter Doggers, who has written an entire book on the history of chess.
Yes.
So maybe that one is a nice one to start with.
That one's at the top of my list because you're now maybe the fourth or fifth. Everyone keeps going straight to that one, which tells me that it must be perfect for someone like me stepping into this
It's
space.
kind of written very recently, and maybe it's just the right thing for you. Gets you right from the start of the game till where it is today.
Brilliant. I look forward to it.
And one question that I wanted to ask you is, League of Legends has a lot of action happening. While chess, you can see, is a more static game. There are a lot of things happening underneath the surface. How do you intend to make this into a spectator-friendly sport?
That's a good question. One that maybe I don't have the perfect answer to. But like I said, I think that's even where somebody like me entering the space is very important, because one thing I've mentioned to a few people is, if we think about any area of expertise, right? There's a lot of assumed knowledge. If I were to sit down in a circle of physicists, rocket scientists, and they start talking about their work, they're going to be using language and vocabulary that I cannot follow for the life of me. And so I am kind of forced to take, a step back and recede and not be an active part of it. One of the things that excites me about our broadcast is, yes, in classical you do have time to fill, but that time then is opportunities for us to educate and learn and to delve into some of the deep ideas in chess. I think you're exactly right that League of Legends, while still being a strategic game, is very fast-paced.
Yes.
So
lot of things happening on the screen.
Yes, and there are still through lines, right? It's, the thing that you do here is relevant to the thing you do maybe 2 or 3 minutes later. But because there are also 5 people on each team, there's a lot of different inputs, right? And so I think one of the unique things about chess is we get to really dive into what is the idea here behind what this player is attempting to do. Good or bad. I don't really care, to be honest, if what they're doing is good or bad. That does matter. But I care what their intention behind their move is. That's what's interesting to you and me, right? Like, yeah, with the eval bar will eventually tell us who's winning, who's losing, right? And yes, a high-level player will maybe instinctually understand winning, losing, better position, feels like an advantage, something like that. But at the end of the day, when somebody makes a move, I want the story behind it. Okay, this is, it's his last-ditch effort, right? His back is against the wall. So he's throwing everything he has, and it probably won't work, but if it does, it'll be incredible, right? Those are the things that, with that time, I think we can build the story around it a little bit more.
The anticipation.
Exactly. The anticipation. And then when they do find that move, there's one move. He has to find it. Will he find it? And yeah, don't get me wrong, it's not... It isn't, while we compare to F1 a lot, it's not F1, they're not driving 200 miles an hour, or something like that, but that's fine. That doesn't mean the intensity of the moment is different. And I think that's something that's really important, right? Speed does not equal intensity. I can make a very slow move, very purposely, and with deep intensity and intention, and that is what we need to capture. That's what we want to celebrate and bring out of the chess broadcast.
Amazing, James. It has been a pleasure knowing you here, talking to you, and I hope that you are able to stay with us for many months and years to come, so that chess broadcast can get to a higher level.
Well, the pleasure is all mine, my friend. You need to take some time to enjoy yourself. Every time I look your way, you're working, my friend. But thank you so much for being a warm welcome to this chess community, and I look forward to the next time we meet.
Thank you, James.
Cheers.